In today's Ethereum and Bitcoin news update, we're going to be looking at some big news that's happening in the markets and to see why I think there's a huge amount of market manipulation going on at the moment that's holding back the potential explosion that's going to happen in Ethereum and Bitcoin price over the coming weeks and months. We'll also do some chart analysis of both Ethereum and Bitcoin and cover various news throughout. So guys, if you're new to the House of Crypto, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the way in. It's one of the fastest growing crypto communities on YouTube, and always great to have new subscribers on board. Guys, right, without further ado, let's jump in to the first piece of news. So there's something fishy that's happening at the moment with JP Morgan. So JP Morgan, one of the biggest US banks. On February the 15th, so jumping back to this story on Market Insider, JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley are eyeing Bitcoin. Here are the big Wall Street names warming up to cryptocurrencies. Okay, so what does that mean for us? So as far as they're telling us, this is news that's been put out by the bank. They're looking, 150 billion investment arm of Morgan Stanley is weighing up getting involved in Bitcoin, according to a report, as the soaring price of the biggest cryptocurrency garners attention on Wall Street. In another example, the rising interest, JP Morgan co-president Daniel Pinto said on Friday he's sure demand for Bitcoin will pick up to the extent that the Wall Street giant will have to be involved. Okay, so they're saying that they're very interested in Bitcoin. Okay, now I don't know if you know, like sort of a year or so ago, 6 months ago, Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of JP Morgan, was saying that this Bitcoin was a joke. It was going to be a bubble that was going to blow up, and lots of news that were basically sort of saying quite negative things about it. Now I want to bring you on to today's piece of news, so the 17th. So just yesterday, JP Morgan says Bitcoin rally unsustainable unless volatility ebbs. JP Morgan 2 days ago said they're interested in getting involved into a current cryptocurrency. 2 days later, JP Morgan also say that they're not interested in buying cryptocurrency. Guys, I don't know if you sort of see what's happening here. Like, in my eyes, there's a lot of people saying things that they want to move the markets. And what you've probably been made aware of recently in that GameStop news from Wall Street is that actually lots of these things happen all the time, but we've never been really made aware of it before, okay? So in one hand, they're trying to get you to invest your money to push it up a bit, and perhaps if they've already got some involved, then they can sell it and bring it down. And something I want to bring you over to on the Ethereum chart. So Ethereum has been dropping, well, not dropping, but not been that steady recently, whereas Bitcoin's been surging. Ethereum should be the one that's been surging up, and this is in my eyes anyway. So Ethereum should be the one that's been pushing up. However, it hasn't been pushed up. Why do we think that is, guys? Well, there's been some huge kind of offloading going on, but the only people who hold that much Ethereum, people like Grayscale, etc., who can afford to do it. And what they do is they push the price up and then they dump it down. They then rebuy back in lower and then it moves up again. Now, obviously, this is the way things work, and as we get more institutional investment, while it sounds great because we get more money, be prepared for more of these kind of games to start happening, guys, because you and I don't have necessarily enough money to be able to move markets like they do, but the big money can manipulate markets, and it's what they will do, and it's what they have been doing for years. And various companies, JP Morgan got fined for doing it the other day to gold. It happens, so always be aware that these things happen, and always protect yourself. That's why we never invest more than we can afford to lose. That's why we do our own research to stop speculating and know roughly what's going to happen, because always sometimes it can go against us. Even if all the charts are lining up one way and telling us one thing, it can always go against us. So without further ado then, let's jump into a little bit of BlackRock news. So BlackRock is the world's biggest asset manager, and they've said that they wanted to dabble in Bitcoin. Now, a while ago, they were looking for a director of cryptocurrency to get involved. So yeah, there's obviously they've been talking about this for a while. BlackRock's Rick Ryder told CNBC on Wednesday the world's largest asset manager has begun entering the Bitcoin space. It's already started. The remark from Ryder, who's the BlackRock Chief Investment Officer of Global Fixed Income, came on the same day Bitcoin broke above 51K for the first time. Okay, so they're obviously paying attention, guys. This has been in the news on Bloomberg, CNBC, BBC, whatever channel you're watching in any part of the world. It's been made aware of, guys. People are starting to pay attention. Again, it's going to happen. The more that's getting involved, you're looking down the end. This is CNBC, and I've got Bitcoin at $1 million. Some analysts are bullish, but others warn of risks ahead. So super exciting news being pushed in that direction. Okay, so jumping into the first chart, we see Bitcoin here. This is on. Let's jump up to the 4-hour. So looking at the 4-hour chart, we've had this huge consolidation triangle pattern, And we've seen these before, guys. So if you're sort of new to trading patterns, you can start to identify these triangles. They don't actually, obviously this one's flipped up the other way around, and they tend to sort of show themselves quite obviously every time we sort of come to the end of a quick surge. We'll start to see them consolidate, and these are consolidation patterns, okay, where it's giving the market time to kind of relax and recover to go back to the next space. And what they tend to do is they break out and they come back for a retest before moving up. So this one perfectly moved up and out before coming back to retest and then moving to the upside. We've then seen this consolidation, and now what I want you to be aware of, guys, those of you who are thinking about jumping in to purchases right now or buy orders, long orders, be very careful, guys, because what we often see, as we saw here, is the perfect setup would be a comeback to check. This is support and then build again, okay? So if you miss the train this time, there's always another chance to not be this guy, and don't jump in on this point, yeah? And you can wait for the next train down here, okay? So what we need to be is patient here, guys. What I can see happening in the next few hours is potentially this to come back down to retest and then to go again. And that would be the most healthy and reliable thing for us to place a trade. Now, that's not necessarily always going to happen. It might have already been through and done the retest. You can see those. This is on the 4 hour. You can see these wicks down, which are coming off towards the 20 EMA, and these could easily push back up to the other side. Okay, so in terms of a buying opportunity, I don't think it's a bad buying opportunity now. Although we are obviously at an all-time high, guys. Buying at an all-time high, be careful, guys, because it can always surge up and then we can see a big dip, and we've seen it before. It came up here and we went from $42,000 and we came back down to $30,000. Yeah, so that was a significant test back. Now, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen right now, but it could always can. Okay, so protect yourselves. In terms of taking like a long trade, if you were to open a trade now, then personally, I wouldn't. In terms of a long trade, I would be looking to, you could enter around now, but putting my stop loss under these wicks is probably where I would go. I would literally not be taking. It's a risky trade to make. The ideal situation is that we come back down to the yellow, we put our stop loss. We can probably put it under the yellow or under the last few wicks of these candles over here, or even further down under this kind of breakout candlestick pattern here. And then I'll take a profit. Where would our take profit be? So let's jump out and give us our target for current trade setup in terms of where we think roughly we're going to go. This from our breakout point, which was here. This is going to take us up to, that's 53,228. But guys, with this amount of news and amount of information flying out, the chances are this is going to fly much quicker. And the reason, it was a bit of clickbait, but not supposed to be clickbait. I want you to be aware of just where this will happen in the coming months if institutions start coming in, and the huge institutions. These are some of the biggest institutions in the world jumping on board. And it's an exciting time, guys. But then, obviously, with that, you get the manipulation and all the other things coming on. Okay, so one thing I want to draw your attention to, guys, is the DXY, which is the dollar index. And what we've seen over a long period of time is this huge, big downward trend. Okay, we saw this big bounce here before it came back round. And we've produced this huge M pattern. In terms of where we've seen, in the last few days, where we've seen Bitcoin consolidating, maybe had a little drop, same with Ethereum, that was actually probably because we saw a bit of a retrace and saw the dollar recovering a little. However, what we see if we look on the daily is this big red candle coming down here, and that's looking quite positive for those of us who are Bitcoin and Ethereum holders. Obviously, not so much good news for the dollar. However, these things run in cycles, and as we've got the bull market for cryptocurrencies at the moment, this tends to be a bear market for the dollar. Okay, so as we see, it's bouncing off these. We've got this big crossover coming here, which usually would signify on the 4 that we might be moving upwards. So pay attention to this. However, this breaks through this resistance line here, support line here, then we're potentially in free fall, guys, all the way back down to probably the next few resistance levels before potentially heading down to an all-time low levels of around 2008 recession, right, which was around the 80. It's down the 88. Okay, and in terms of the pattern, this could potentially fall further. However, that's just speculation at the moment because this is a very long time frame. It's difficult to see. However, always be aware of what's happening there. Next chart I want to jump into then is the Ethereum Bitcoin. Sorry, no, that's not true. Is the Ethereum USD chart. Ethereum DSD, as we've seen, has done a very similar thing to Bitcoin. Now, I've drawn these three channel lines here because they sort of, although we've got that outside channel, we've also been bouncing around off this inside channel, and almost perfectly, literally came up, broke out, and it's come up and it's tested this, and it's tested it 3 times. Now, what I would expect to happen is similar to the Bitcoin situation, where I would expect it to probably come back down to this green line to retest before breaking out, in which it's going to need significant amount of volume to push out. However, that could, if it continues to test on this, it will eventually, should eventually break through. Okay, so be aware of what's going to happen. In terms of a target for that, guys, I think Ethereum is going to be hitting $2,000 very, very soon. So let's have a look roughly where that is there. Okay, let's put that up to our breakout point. Oh, and what do you know, guys? In terms of our breakout, look where it lines up literally perfectly with the top of this channel. Okay, so it, in fact, yeah, let's drop it down a bit. If it comes back down and it bounces here and it goes up, then it literally to the dollar lands back at our top line. Okay, which is obviously the ideal scenario. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to come, in that fact, it literally just flicked into a red candle, slipping to $1,900. That could easily come back down, but it's looking really, really positive, really exciting, guys. So both Ethereum and Bitcoin looking really positive at the moment. Don't go and jump into huge trades now. Wait for confirmation, guys. Be patient, okay? If we miss the train, we don't want to try and jump on a moving train, okay? Because, as you know, it's not safe, right? So the perfect situation, come back down. Maybe we dip below, maybe we wick below, okay? And then we can jump into a long trade. But again, always manage our risk, guys. Do your own research. This is only my kind of views on what's happening out there. Make sure you use stop losses. Okay, only fools don't use stop losses, and never trade with more than you can afford to lose. Guys, I hope today has been useful for you and you've really enjoyed it. I'm going to link a video to the end of this, which is going to give you two great altcoins, which I think are going to absolutely boom and have been doing quite well in the last couple of days since I released that video, but it's really worth watching because hopefully you get some really useful value. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. It really supports the channel. I put a lot of effort into researching and building some analysis for these channel, so it really helps me if you can just support me by turning that thumb blue. Guys, thanks very much. Hope to see you next time, and thanks very much. Bye-bye.